What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by LeVon Maynard.
What's going on, everybody?
What's going on? And we have a special guest again this week. We have Ms. Ieshea Hollins.
Hello.
Welcome back. So we've had you on the show a couple of times now. We've also had a really good interview with you. I believe it's episode 111 is the time you came on as a co-host for an entire week. And then we have an interview with you, which is titled Your Name. So people can go to our YouTube playlist to find your specific interview. And I plan on doing some breakouts for the holidays. So we'll definitely break out some of the great clips from your interview so people can enjoy those as well. So thank you again for joining us.
I'm more than happy to do it. I look forward to the clips. I'm gonna grab them too.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely push them to you so that way you have them to share with your audience as well.
You always
so
do.
definitely look out for Ieshea's content. She has some really good stuff. I know I have highlighted some of it, but she has so much more. So definitely go to her links, which will be in the description. Check out her content. I'm not trying to reintroduce you completely because like now you're a staple on the show, like you're a reoccurring guest host. But VCISO, PMP, pioneer in digital forensics, definitely check out her content. So that being said, I was going through doing a run of show this week. I saw a really good topic and I did it again. I was like, you know what? I told Ieshea I will never try to contact you on the same day for a show. And then immediately I saw the topic and I was like, you know what? I'm going to contact Ieshea immediately for the show. So I greatly appreciate you being on. I promise that we will try to pregame it, but I try to be timely and this stuff just pops in usually on a Friday. And then I see it on Saturday and I'm like, yeah, and I'm 8 hours ahead. So like timing is all wrong. So like for me, it's the next day. For you, it's the same day. Or like, hey, can you pop on the show? So this one, I appreciate it. And then, I didn't say, so Shannon was under the weather, so he won't be here this week, but he will definitely be here next week. So definitely tune in for that. This article, so it comes from SDX Central, and it's titled "Women in Cybersecurity Aren't Unicorns, We Do Exist." And this is written by Nancy Liu. I thought this article was definitely something I wanted to bring up because it talks about women being close to 25% of the cybersecurity workforce. But I felt as though, hey, I need to have somebody on the panel who can really speak to this conversation, because it's usually it's three dudes, right? we try to always encompass as much as we can about people who are disenfranchised, about people of color who are in the career field. So we had Ieshea on for the interview initially because we're like, hey, listen, we're only make up 7%. Now it's 9%, so we're growing, right? We definitely want the mover and shaker in the industry to be on the show. And now we have articles such as this. And I'm like, you know what? Now we have the ability to reach out to a co-host and have her express her opinion. So we're talking a lot, but I'd like to give it to Ieshea to discuss this week's discussion point.
Thank you, Ryan. I'm so glad that you did reach out to me with regards to this article. As I said, as soon as I saw the title and the byline, I got just a little, I was like, oh my goodness. Because as we were saying, 2 years ago, I literally wrote an article, the same one, or it was a speech for a conference that we had coming up. And what I was doing was addressing, it bothers me whenever I hear people refer to us as unicorns. Oh, women in technology, they're unicorns, and it's on and on we go. We like to even, I had her name just a second ago and it escaped me. She called herself the Black Unicorn. She's in movies. Anyway, her name will come back to me later. She, she was the one that wanted to be adopted by Whoopi and whatnot.
Right. Comedian, right? Tiffany
She's a
Haddish.
comedian. Who?
Tiffany Haddish.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Okay.
I knew it was going to come to me. It was like, it's always right there on the tip of your tongue too, until you get ready to say it. But Tiffany Haddish, she referred to herself as the Black unicorn, and it was like, and I'm thinking to myself, I just wanted to scream. I'm like, unicorns don't exist. So when I started looking at, trying to have this conversation and introducing it, I began to say, it's not that we're unicorns because we exist, but we are a rare species. So that's where I actually got hung up. I started looking for like the animal I wanted to be referred to as, like it had to be rare, but beautiful, but all of these things that we're looking for. But at the bottom line of it all is we do exist. Our numbers were lower. They are getting better, but it's just like with everything else. We're coming from behind, trying to catch up, trying to make it understood we are not a threat in this field. I believe women at the table for IT are just as important and just as viable and vital as men at the table. We just offer a different perspective. And especially when it comes down to when you start talking about CISOs and higher ranking areas, not that a woman in IT period is really important, because we tend to pay just a smaller, closer attention to detail. Men are great. They're going to carry it. They're going to install it. They're very eager. They're robust. They got, they can all of that, and that's great. But we're going to look at the numbers, the project management of it all. We want to plan it out. We want to make sure we're gonna actually have those conversations, because that men sometimes just don't have. Not that they can't have them, that they're just not thinking in that arena sometimes. And then sometimes putting the two at the table together and starting those conversations, I think sometimes that's the other thing too. The beautiful part about being a PMP or a project manager is we go back to the source and we have those conversations. Put us on a contract and we're going to talk to the IT guy. Sometimes their voice is also just not heard, and they don't know how to get their voice brought up to the next level or to that table because nobody came and asked them. So we want a developer to develop, but we don't ask him, what does he need? We don't ask the engineers what they need. But the PM, we come to the table and we're going to talk to the engineer. We're going to go back to the developers. We're going to go over here to the managers. We're going to have those conversations. They need more time. They don't have enough resources. So these are also another reason why it's kind of important, just to have us at the conversation, or at the table. We don't mind women. You guys are strong, but we like to talk. So, so I feel like that's another reason why we're not unicorns. And I don't think that people really look at it that way. You're basically saying, oh, a unicorn is an invisible, non-real, pretty object. So it was another way to just insult us by calling us unicorns. Oh, you're cute. Aren't you cute? No. But I mean, yeah, I love that they're having the conversation. I love that the organization exists. I went out and I looked at their page, the organization. Matter of fact, I will be joining them. There's several of them that I'm already a member of, and I will be joining them as well. I love the initiative. I love that we're asking women to step up, and we're encouraging them and pushing them forward.
So that's why I want you to have you on here, is for that perspective, right? So when I think of it, like when I saw the unicorn part, that part threw me off a little bit, because that's how they're referred to, like women are referred to, or even just people of color in general in cybersecurity referred to as unicorns. Like, okay, like this person is like it's like you said, it is a knock. At the same time, I think what they're trying to portray is they're trying to put you on a pedestal, like, oh, you're different, you're special. But at the same time, like you said, like unicorns don't exist. So it is a knock. And I never really thought about it like that. What about you, LeVon? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that was like a great point that Aisha made. That's like, I never thought about it as well. When I saw the article, just saw it earlier today, and the idea of being a unicorn, it's like, oh, I was just like, oh, okay, I think I understand what they're saying. It's like, it's so rare, but now you think about it, it's actually, oh, unicorns don't exist. It's kind of like, it is kind of a knocker, so much, a little bit of a, uh, under the little undertone as far as like, oh, this women in cybersecurity don't even exist at all. But it's actually, it's good to see that. I didn't even realize that women made up 25% of the cybersecurity workforce, which was actually kind of news to me. But I think that's, obviously, love it to be better. But that seems pretty good to me as far as like so far, like how much maybe progress we've made as far as getting women in IT and things like that. Because I know personally myself working in IT over many years, I haven't seen as many women as I'd like to see in the workforce. And but the fact that it seems like it's potentially increasing over the years, making up more of the population, more of the workforce, I think is a great thing. And yeah, I love the point that you made as well with the unicorns, and as well as you kind of made the point as far as unicorns being pretty and kind of put on a pedestal, and like it's like, oh, you're kind of a cute kind of thing. I can definitely see that as well, being like a little bit of the undertone as far as the article is concerned. But yeah, I love to see it. I think it's a great thing overall. I love diversity in the workplace, and hopefully this is kind of like a trend. I'm curious to see how, maybe 5 or 10 years ago, how the workforce looked as far as women making up the how much they participated in the cybersecurity field, and kind of seeing like the trends. But I think it's excellent. I'm glad that more women are taking that step to being in IT. And as you mentioned as well, you said, you're talking about the women, can start a conversation. And I think about, as you talk about that, I think about my own wife, and she's like very, she's very talkative as well. She's like very, she has a lot of, what's the word? Like, she pays a lot of attention to detail. She's able to pick up things and hold on to certain key points. Remember them like years later, like, oh yeah, I remember that one little nuance of a subject that we discussed in, as we passed this, convenience store or something. Or even like she is a officer in the military, so she's like leading a lot of projects and things of that nature. So it's really important for her to have that kind of mindset where she's able to keep track of things and keep good notes and be able to recognize, any kind of inconsistency from things that had changed before, and how to present things and how to talk to people, how to have conversations, and kind of sell certain things as far as like projects and certain objectives that need to be met for the team. So I can kind of appreciate that aspect of it as well, as far as being. I see, some of the work that my wife does in the military, and brings it home, and some of the work she does from the house as well. And I can really appreciate, the things that she does. But I know men, being obviously being a man, I feel like I'm always I'm always forgetting things. I need to do a better job of keeping notes. I need to be better of like presenting certain material to people to make sure that it's easy to understand and things of that nature. But I really appreciate having women in the workforce to kind of like carry the load and help take care of the things that men can't do properly. But
Right.
yeah.
So you brought up a good point. So before I go too far, though, I wanted to bring up the organization. So the organization is Women in Cybersecurity. So it's WICYS. I'll also put a link in the description for them as well, if you're interested in joining. So I don't really know our demographics, because it's weird, right? The way that I push it out, I push everything out individually, which we would think you would get more stats, but for some reason Apple does not feed me good stats. So Anchor lets me know that I think about a quarter, so it's about representative of this article, are women, and I assume they have either interest in IT or they're currently in IT. But Apple, no, nothing. It's almost been a year, so I'm shots fired at Apple. Fix it. But I thought that it's so interesting to me being in the military, because our demographics are so much more diverse than on the outside. So that was kind of the reason why the podcast originally was created, because as I was, I'm in my twilight, as they say, like I'm not checked out, but I am working towards my civilian transition, right? And I just kept reading articles where we're just like, we're almost non-existent. It's like 5%, 7%. Now it's 9% of people of color. And then that started to not necessarily worry me, but it's just like, my timeline, like I'm in a silo basically. Like my Twitter timeline, my LinkedIn is full of people of color. like I'm like, what do you mean we're not in the workplace? And then when I go to work, it's the same thing. It's a more diverse group. I would say that the male to female ratio in cyber and IT, it almost holds true. I would say probably maybe a little bit bigger, maybe 30%. I'm just going anecdotally from what I can see. There seem to be more women in cyber in the military than there are on the outside. Like LeVon's wife was my boss. You know what I mean? So I've always had women in cyber. I guess she technically is still my boss because she outranks me. It's just that we don't work together. So in the military, right? I have so many bosses. But it always it never bothered me until I started to look on the outside and to see that that we do have a smaller population. But again, you only disenfranchise that population more by the words you choose. So like now I see like calling women in cyber unicorns, like you're basically saying they don't exist. Same thing goes with, I see, like you said, you brought up Tiffany Haddish, which I can't believe her name popped into my head so easily, but I can't remember people I talked to last week. We had this conversation where I've had to edit video because I would just forget a person's name. I'm like, I literally talked to them. I just, for whatever reason, I have issues retaining names, but yeah, her whole thing was she's Black unicorn, right? Because she was saying, I'm an actor, a comedian, like so much more. But basically you're putting yourself in a box at that point. Now, I've seen other people on social media call themselves unicorns because they're like full stack engineers. Well, whatever that means, because they know so many different pieces of the IT realm. But you kind of put yourself in a box, like you're saying, like I'm something that is not a real thing, but you are. You do exist. That's right. So I think that is a interesting conversation. I'm glad we had you on to discuss it, and kind of champion at home. Like we do exist. Like I'm standing right in front of you. Like I am a real thing. I'm not saying don't talk about the demographics being so small. Like we obviously should, because as you can see, it's growing because of that. So we're already made up another 2%. Hopefully that continues year over year, where we just continue to grow in the workforce. But also, like don't do the opposite. Like don't put everybody on a pedestal just because they look different than you. Like try to normalize it. Like we're excellent not because of those certain demographics. We're excellent because of our unique perspectives. So I'm glad you hit that home as well. Like there's certain things that you bring to the table that I just cannot.
Yeah, it's important that we shine a light on what's going on in this industry. And I can't, I'm so very proud of you guys for what the three of you are doing each and every week. It's so very, very, very important to get the word out, just to normalize the conversation, because it's easy to say that we don't have Blacks in IT, women in IT, when we don't understand fully what the job of IT entails. And that's the reason why you say that there are no women. It's easier now to say that there are women in cybersecurity because we're now starting to have the conversation where we're separating cyber from just the box that we call IT. And IT, right, for most people, I won't give statistics, but the majority of people, when they think IT, they think break fix. Somebody to fix my computer. My computer broke, and when I go to the computer shop, there's a guy. It's run by a guy. It's going to be fixed by a guy. Mm-hmm. If I need my cables run, or if I need something done, or somebody's going to drop, they're going to drop it, that's going to be a guy. Because rarely do you find women crawling through the rafters to find the drop access points. And, these are all what we envision being male driven, and that for us is IT. If we want to go a step farther, then we do say that our programmers are male, right? They're all male. And as a former programmer, I do know, even being in there in the lab when I was coding, when I didn't have a whole lot of me's in there. So, you're surrounded by testosterone. But again, it's because, we push them that way. You're able to go in here and just kind of play around with it and see if you can make it. It's like turning what is a bull loose in a China factory. You can't break code, right? It's like,
Right.
go on in there, try to break it. That's what we want you to do, And so when you start looking at it like that, but when we start actually having those conversations, what does the data warehouse look like? What does, who's driving the data farms? Who's driving the cloud? Who's looking at the cyber? Who's looking there? When we start taking technology and addressing what all falls in the field of technology, then we'll actually find that those numbers are a bit skewed because they're a little larger than we're saying. But I'm also very happy to stop being, some of the only, when you walk in a room, you're the only female in there. It's, it's a little disheartening sometimes, but
yeah,
it comes with the times.
Right. So yeah, that's definitely changing. So like I said, year over year, I think we'll start seeing the demographics shift. So it's definitely a great conversation. I definitely appreciate you popping on to the show. So hopefully we can get you on again before the big holiday break. We have a few people lined up, so we'll see how it all shakes out. I know your calendar is super busy, so we'll try to get you on.
For you.
Right. Without a moment's notice, though. Like we'll several moments. I'll give you several moments before the next one. But again, thank you, LeVon. Thank you, Ieshea. It's always a great conversation. Definitely hit the website, www.theothersideofthefirewall.com, where you get to all of our socials. You can hit me up personally. I am at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy on LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, and Clubhouse. You, LeVon?
And hit me up on the Twitters at LeVon Maynard.
And Ieshea, where can we find you?
You can hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Clubhouse, and Twitter as well. I don't tweet much, but I'm there.
Gotcha.
Ieshea Speaks, or you can look us up on our business page, which is Dorensic.com.
There we go. So I have all that in the description for everybody. And stay safe, stay secure.
Take care.